Hey, this is Bert, and today we're going to be floating all around my Ewok Village diorama to see all the different custom figures that I added to it.
No skill customs.
First, we're going to start with the no-skill customs ones that don't require any skill at all. You may have seen this in one of my other videos, but this is Nikki, created with a Princess Nisa figure from the Toys R Us 5-pack with Tippett's hood put on top of her. I thought it works pretty well. Nikki has seen a couple times. He's the one that's hopping up to see over the other Ewoks while C-3PO's telling the story, and he's the one that does the cartwheels at the end. Next, we have the character most people call Nine Numb, which is the co-pilot of Lando Calrissian. I really don't think it's him, though. Based on behind-the-scene photos, it clearly seems that they are going to do a B-Wing scene, and this guy was going to be one of the B-Wing pilots, and not just Nine Numb from the Millennium Falcon. But anyways, this is the Force Awakens head of Nine Numb on top of Kean Farlander's something or other B-Wing pilot body. Next we have Chewbacca. He underwent just the smallest of changes. I had to carve away a little bit of his head hair in order to get his arms to move a little closer together, and I had to scooch in his bandolier strap under his head a little bit more. That's about it, though. And then, of course, I tied him with twine to a twig. Next we have R2-D2. Again, not too much done to him, but this is like maybe a Saga Collection R2. So I took the head that was chromed and I dulled it down a little bit by painting silver paint over it because it was just too shiny. And then I weathered him by just painting some black over him and wiping that off so it gets in all the lines. And of course I painted the little eye on his face. For all the times they've made Han Endor figures in the Vintage Collection and Black Series 3.75 inch, they've never painted his belt black like it's supposed to be underneath his holster belt. So I took the holster belt off because he doesn't have it in the movie, and I painted that black. I painted his stripes so he's got the brown lines in between the stripes. And unlike the last time I customized Han Solo, instead of doing a gray wash, I tried a beige one on his shirt just to give him just a little different look. I kind of like the beige better, actually. Next is Wicket. I know, they already repainted Wicket, but what I did instead of using the 2021 one is use the 2010 one, and I just painted a little bit more lightness on his face, a little further out, and then where he has the lightness on his belly, I tried to transition that better into the brown of his fur. But most of the work I did was on his cowl. His cowl is at times really, really dark and greased looking and worn, and other times lighter than what they made. So I did a little bit of smudging black paint on the cowl and then a little bit of dry brushing, like a little bit of orange at the edges. Next for the little Waflings. Here I actually started with the vintage 1983 Waffling eraser. I just kind of painted the whole thing brown and then did details that were appropriate over top. It actually began as like this weird grayish brown color, and they all had blue eyes, and so I found this photo and I decided to try to make it match because I'm pretty sure that's what they were looking at when they sculpted this. Because my Ewok Village has a celebration scene and the Cooking the Hero scene, I have two Lukes, and this one I just sculpted, just real simple, sculpted the gray little flap of fabric that's open after he fights the Emperor and is rescuing his dad. So when he's celebrating at the end, you can see him look like that. I know they've done other Lukes with the flap, but none of them look as good as this sculpt. All right, for this guy right here, Bret Hupp, I actually started with a beat-up Chief Chirpa figure and sculpted his belt and his little, holster thing, and his cowl, all out of air-dry clay, like Das Pronto or something. Next, we're going to fix a major disappointment in the modern vintage collection line, and that is Luke Endor. So disappointed that he doesn't take that helmet off. But what I've done is I've warmed up his head and helmet just a little bit, and that was enough to pop that helmet right off. I literally lost the green stuff I normally use, so I used this stuff called Epoxy Sculpt, and I sculpted the hair. It's a two-part mixture, just kind of mix it together. And I just kind of carved the details in with an X-Acto knife, and I was really happy with it. And here he is all finished and tied with some twine to a twig, just like Chewbacca, so they can lean up next to each other. And finally, we have the Jedi Spirits over here. Anakin I made by taking the Hayden Christensen 30th anniversary Anakin Skywalker, popping off the head, dremeling out the head of the Power of the Force 2 Sebastian Shaw Anakin Skywalker, popping that on top, and then using the brown version of the Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan Kenobi robes over top. And I coated all of that with this stuff right here called Deco Art Media Fluid Acrylics, and it's the blue, I guess blue interference they call it. So it worked pretty nicely. I was pretty happy with the sheen. Basically my goal was to have the look of the robes and everything match the original trilogy collection Obi-Wan Kenobi. And for Yoda, I started with the holographic Yoda from Revenge of the Sith. I took off his outer robe and I painted his inner robes as if he had an outer robe on, and I painted a little bit of green for his face and the eye details in with a little bit of black and white, and then that blue interface over top. And that's how you ended up with the spirit of Yoda here. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more of my Rebuilding Endor series. I hope to have another one up next week where I'll be putting the fun in funeral pyre. We'll see you then.